chance, Mets fans. So you're telling me there's a chance. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and we're back at it with our latest New York Metropolitan post-game show presented by our amazing sponsors at SeatGeek that have you covered for all of your ticketing needs. Utilize our promo code WARDY10, link down below in the description. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. And Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets that we will get into a little bit later in this one. But finally, for the first time in over a calendar week, the New York Mets have won a ball game, and this comes a day after the Mets found themselves losing yet another series, another day, another loss in Mets land. But thankfully, the Reds and the Giants lost yesterday, so the Mets stayed a half game up in that third wild card, and now they are fully at least a full game in the wild card with this victory today, folks. The season begins now. I know this is complete fool's gold, but by God, I gotta eat it because the Mets have given me literally nothing to be happy about up until today, what feels like for the past 3 months. Spam the W's in the live show right now to all of our live and replay viewers, everybody. I want to know exactly how you're feeling. This was another game where I was not at all happy with Carlos Mendoza's decision making. How do you bring in Reed Garrett with 2 inherited runners on for Brooks Raley, thinking that Raley can't do his best job against the Wyatt Langford? What made you think that you would have Reed Garrett do a better job against Wyatt Langford and Jock Peterson than Brooks effing Raley? That was as idiotic as they come, but I'm not here to talk about all the bad, because finally the Mets had some good, because the Polar Bear blasted one up Otako into the Cadillac Club that we saw in extra innings to give the Mets the 5-2 victory. The Mets initially had themselves an early 2-0 lead in this ball game in a very Metsian fashion. They blew the 2-0 lead that we saw in this ball game, and this came after we had ourselves an absolutely dominant outing, a brilliant outing by Mr. Cowboy Ohtani himself that you guys know very well, and that is going to be Mr. Nolan McLean. Shout out to my brother for sending me this as a belated birthday gift. I feel like I'm one of the few that has a McLean jersey. I'm very proud of it. We're rocking 26 here, as Nolan was nothing short of dominant against this Texas Rangers squad. Brandon Sproat deserved a victory yesterday. Sadly, he did not get one. Fast forward a day later, we get another dominant outing, not from Brandon Sproat, but this time yet again, Nolan McLean. What a stud he was, and we're going to break down what was so brilliant about McLean's outing today, everybody. Just take a look at Nolan, only a 1.19 ERA to begin his young career throughout his first 6 starts. That's fantastic. 6 shutty on his 6th career start, baby. We're going to break down all the great things about Nolan McLean from this walk-off victory. We're going to get into what I didn't like on the bullpen end, what I liked, including Ryan Stanek having a bulldog mentality there that we saw in the top of the 10th inning. Oh my God, was that needed to strand that runner at third base. And the offense, it wasn't sexy. It was far from pretty. No one essentially did anything outside of Alvarez from what we saw 5, 6 through 9 in this order. But thankfully, the Mets got just enough in this one. They won a tight ball game, and that is what you love to see. Finally, again, everybody, the Mets have something cooking. It's taken forever. All it took was another dominant outing from Nolan McLean, and of course, the bullpen having a blunder, a headline by Carlos Mendoza's incompetence with the decision. I love Mendy, but he just continues to, what I feel like and what many of you guys feel like, push the wrong buttons this season. I just don't understand why he thinks the way he thinks with his certain decision making. I don't care that Wyatt Langford has obviously beat up, that we've seen some lefties this year when you look at his splits. What I care about is the fact that the Mets had an opportunity there with Brooks Raley to get out of his own mess because of an unfortunate hit by pitch and another runner on there. He had 1 out to work with. All he needed to do was get out of his own mess, and we didn't trust him. I get it was a back-to-back day, but I still also just don't get it because Reed Garrett isn't good. Nothing about Reed Garrett has been good for a prolonged period of time, so why should we start acting like it most certainly is now all of a sudden? We're going to break it all down, everybody. We're going to talk about the brilliance that was the Polar Bear stepping up, clutching up that home run. Had such shades of what what he did against Devin Williams in the wild card, and it's honestly fitting that Pete Alonso, who's been scuffling mightily here in the second half this season, he has been a shell of what we otherwise need from Alonso when it comes to stepping up on a nightly basis. We have seen the lackadaisical at-bats, but he came out today and he balled out and he gave the Mets a home run that is eerily similar, not just in the sense of it being a line drive opposite the field home run, there to walk off or essentially win the ball game, but more so because of the fact of the importance of that home run, everybody. If the Mets lost today's game, they would have to be the first team in Major League Baseball history to still somehow, some way make playoffs while having a 9-game losing streak. No team in Major League Baseball history entering today has made playoffs when on a 9-game losing skid. The Mets have lost 8 games entering today's matchup. They've lost 7 games in a row in 3 different instances this season, which is a terrible statistic in its own right. This team has been horrendous in more ways than one over the past 3 months. But what is here to talk about, which is me, is the now, which is that yes, the Mets finally secured themselves a meaningful victory. Hopefully, fingers crossed, because we're dying for something to get this Mets team to rally around. Thankfully, just thankfully, the Mets found themselves in the win column, and because of that, everybody, we gotta let it rip with something that we have not done in what feels like forever. And no, I'm not joking as I say this. For the first time in literally 8 days at minimum, if not 9 days, we have to let it rip as we get this set up, as we get that set up, as we get this set up, and as we get this set up, as we always do with the one, the only, that we just were losing 8 straight games, but we snapped it. Post-game jingle, baby. Let's finally do this. Finally. Oh my God, has it been a long time. Let's go.
Postgame. Postgame. Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talking about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame.
Yo, why is my camera such a schmuck? Seriously, look at that. It's playing games on me. It literally went out of focus as soon as I went to grab the lobster, get the lobster hype going. If you guys don't know the point of the lobster, that's our little rally cry. That's our little thing that we do when we celebrate every victory. It's corny. It's supposed to be that way. Everything about that past 30 seconds is supposed to be corny, but guys, we haven't done that in forever on the platform. Literally forever. Wardy10 for 10% off your next ticket purchase at SeatGeek. Damn right, you said it. Thank you so much for hyping that up in the chat, Eric. I appreciate that. We got Heck in the chat, great member. How we doing? We got Steven, great member in here going up the list. We got Rebecca, great member. Eric Douglas, great member. PB9, great member. James, how we doing, my guy? Great member. Thank you so much for being in here. We got all you guys watching live at a replay. Thank you so much. Dave Kaplitz, great member and friend of the platform. Everybody smash that like and subscribe on your way and tell me exactly how you're feeling as the Mets walk off the Texas Rangers to salvage their series here at Citi Field. And now the Mets have a huge matchup beginning Tuesday in which they're finally going to be doing what I've been wanting to see this Mets team do with their rotation. I've been telling them to do this the past 2 months, but it took, I don't know, continue to losing ways and almost have a playoff spot to finally wake up and say, hey, let's listen to Wardy. And that is by piggybacking Clay Holmes with Sean Manaea for Tuesday's Game 1 matchup against, yes, the San Diego Padres. I'm shaking my boots heading in that series. No, I'm not excited for it. I'm very happy that the Mets were able to walk off this game the way that they did, in the dramatic fashion that they did. And all I can hope and pray for as a Mets fan who's watched and covered this Mets team every single day all season long is that hopefully this steers them in the right direction while they still have a little under 2 weeks left to play now on the season. It's going to get more difficult before it gets any easier, and that is why the Mets need to go out with their best foot forward now after what was a shaky ball game, a ball game in which yet again they blew the lead, but thankfully they found themselves securing the victory in the very end here. Thank you so much for the donation, DMAC. I graciously accept your offer. Fool's gold. It ain't over till it's over, 100%. Dane Needle, thank you so much for the $5 haul. I appreciate that. DMAC, shout to you. My wife can cheat on me with Pete Alonso and I wouldn't be mad. Let's go Mets. Praise the Lord. Needle saying if I'm gonna set a bar for what's okay and not okay, Pete Alonso is that bar. You guys are cracking me up. Jonah with the $2 holla. Lenny the Lobster is becoming a legend. Ooh, I like that name, Lenny the Lobster. That might be the wordplay that we go. Very similar to Larry the Lobster for SpongeBob. If you know, you know. As you guys can see now right here, everybody, when we take a look at the wildcard standings, the Mets are officially one full game up now on the San Francisco Giants. They're also 2 games up currently on the Cincinnati Reds. And yes, I do understand that the Reds currently have, I believe, at least a 3-0 lead, if not more of a lead right now in their ball game. Yep, they're up 3-0. Bases loaded that we see for them against the A's right now. So they look like they're going to score more here shortly. So should we see Cincy win today, unfortunately, that's not something that we're happy to see, but the Mets have at least gained some ground for the time being. We'll see if they're going to be able to stay a full game up on the Giants, or the Giants are going to win today, and if the Reds are going to win today as well. Plenty baseball to still be had there, everybody, but I definitely want to know your thoughts on the current status of the Mets in the wild card. The Mets are just 4 games up right now, above 500 on the season. You know, simply night and day from where they were earlier this year, 21 games above 500, but I think we all know and understand this by now. Listen, the Mets have played just really bad baseball for 3 consecutive months in a row. You guys know it. I know it. But here's the thing. While they played bad baseball, they still have more baseball to be had. So the only thing we can hope for as a Mets fan at this point is just for them somehow, some way to continue now a winning way. And should they be able to do that, maybe, just maybe we'll have something to cheer for and be happy about when everything is said and done this season, the way that we saw today. Dave with a $5 holla. Finally a win. Show off the Caps. Finally, indeed, my guy. Thank you so much for the donation, Dave. Love you. Or did you read my dono? Because it got crazy at City. Let me go ahead and check, my guy. If I missed it, I apologize. All I'll ask, Mario, is if I missed it, please relay it in the chat again for me. Oh, no, I got it now. Here we go. Mario for the $5 holla. And also, I did see someone earlier, right before the live stream started, donate a couple dollars. Thank you to whoever that was. I don't know who it was. I didn't see the name in time because it cut off, but thank you again for that. I appreciate that. Mario with the $5 holla. I was walking on field level for the employee party. For those that don't know, Mario, a member of our live show, works at Citi Field. Love him. A party after the game and saw the walk-off home run. Huge pop-off. Gonna work. Enjoy the work party. Enjoy the work party, my guy. You finally got something to be happy about at Citi Field. It's been brutal. You know, I've been covering this team for a living. You've been working there for a living, so we both been going through the gauntlet left, right, and center in regards to what's been bad about this Mets team lately. Scott, thank you so much for the $3 holla. Holy moly, McLean. I know, he has been so good, Scott. We're loving ourselves some McLean, and he was nasty. The sink piece was just everything about McLean looks just so good. And something that I thought was really interesting was in a recent interview that we saw at the New York Post's John Heyman and Joel Sherman on the show podcast. Pete Alonso was a guest over the past couple days, and he stated how Nolan McLean reminds him a lot of a Max Scherzer. And he says how he doesn't show a lot of it right now because he's just getting his feet wet at the major league level. But as he continues to dominate and as he continues to show more confidence and success, you're going to see more of that moxie out of McLean with that kind of like, I'm an absolute animal on the mound, like a freak kind of thing. And I love that because I love McLean. We all love McLean. And we've seen him already get hyped up on the mound, but the idea of him being more in the Max Scherzer territory of the conversation is something that I wasn't necessarily expecting to hear, and I absolutely love it. So hopefully that holds true. Thank you guys for those donations. Let's get to this one because I think, okay, now we are caught up. Awesome. Love to see that. And again, everybody, if you're first chiming in live in a replay, let me remind you of the jersey that I'm rocking today. We are, in fact, rocking Mr. Nolan McLean. And you have to rock to Mr. Nolan McLean because, one, it's McLean Day. That's a very important thing. Every time McLean toes the rubber, this is like our Harvey Day. I think we can all agree, since the DeGrom days of the world, the Harvey days of the world, the Thor days of the world, when Noah actually had a fastball that was consistently hitting 95 plus on the gun. You know, when the Mets had their young homegrown aces that we saw, I took such pride, and you're really looking forward to that day being that pitcher's day. The way that yesterday, I was really looking forward to Brandon Sproat, and he dominated on Sproat Day. And the Sproat GOAT, whatever you want to call him, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Brandon, as he's looked so polished to begin his young career throughout these first 2 starts. And Nolan McLean has been that other exception. But again, guys, Nolan McLean is doing something that no other starter in the game is doing to begin their young career right now. Like, he's really separated himself early. Nolan McLean is also looking like the first Mets starter ever to begin his young career, basically having every single outing right now as good as they've been over the innings that it's been. He has really found himself in a fantastic category, and, you know, My brother gifted me a McLean jersey for my birthday because he was thinking what would be a good player, good gift. And he's like, no one's under 6 years left of club control, excluding any extension the Mets do. He's been looking great. He's only 24 years of age. We're basically the same age, and he just has been looking so good since the Mets first drafted him. So we love ourselves some McLean, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed what we saw from him today, because we're going to break down in great detail what we saw about McLean that was so just ooh and ah about this outing. Jonah with the $2 hollow. Thank you, Jonah. Carlos Menboza was bailed out by the polar bear. He most certainly was. Jonah, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that, my guy. I really, really do. All right, guys, one final thing. Again, I said it before and I'll say it again. Check out our awesome friends at SeatGeek should you have interest for your ticketing needs. As I told you guys a day ago, do not buy Mets tickets with our SeatGeek code, because why waste your money on watching the Mets right now with the way they continue their losing ways? But listen, they got a walk-off victory today. If they use any of this momentum in the Padres series and look solid in that game 1 on Tuesday, and the piggyback situation with Holmes and Manaea, then by all means start to spend your money again, because it's a results-oriented business like anything else. If the Mets start to win, of course you want to show up at Citi Field. So if you guys want to attend Mets games, you want to attend NFL games, NHL games with preseason already having started, NBA right around the corner, whatever you need in the ticketing space, utilize our promo code WARDY10, link down below for 10% off your next ticket purchase. And again, thank you guys kindly for that. I also saw something that I thought was hilarious. I don't know who it was, but I saw on my time, because when you're on your timeline, sometimes you'll get a title on YouTube or a thumb, but it won't say what the account was. But I saw someone get set up because they're going to be doing coverage of the game today as well, and they had a preset on the Mets being swept by the Raiders, which I just thought was hilarious, because I have been a bit more premature with titling and setting up my live streams before the game actually ends, but I've only been premature in the situations where, like, it's a lock. We know this team is going to lose. No chance. I wasn't going to do that today because we were tied 2-2 entering the 9th inning, and lo and behold, good thing I didn't do that, because this Mets team most certainly was able to win big time. Not a great day for the offense at all. They continue to scuffle. They have been so Jekyll and Hyde, from a dominant month of August offensively to just a putrid one that we have seen now in the month of September. But some small ball would need to be had. It worked. Mets had some great defense that we saw today as well, including a massive double play by Lindor that you guys see beside me there. That was huge of a double play for Edwin Diaz that we saw in the 9th inning. And speaking of Edwin, this was a man that blew it for the Mets yesterday, stepped up today, as well as Ryan Stanek, and pretty much everyone not named Reed Garrett got the job done for the most part. Spartan, thank you so much for the donation. My question is, what if we called up Nolan earlier? Yes, Spartan, trust me, as someone who advocated for Nolan McLean to be considered for a call-up going back to in June, I can tell you firsthand, it's frustrating to see the Mets having not done it until when they did, because to your point, just imagine how many more games the Mets may have won this year if Nolan McLean was here 2, 3, if not 4 weeks up earlier than what he originally was. Brandon Sproat, at least 2 weeks earlier, you could have called him up than what you did, no doubt about it. And those couple weeks can make a significant difference, because if there's one thing that we have seen, this Mets team is in far greater standing to actually win a baseball game, albeit their offense needs to be competent, when they have great young starting pitching. Jonathan has been the one exception of the 3 that just hasn't worked out yet, but Ton is also the youngest by far at only 22 years of age, and was the most dominant in the minor leagues this year, but played the vast majority of the minor leagues in Double-A. So he has a lot more mental fortitude that he has to build up himself, that I think McLean and Sproat, a couple years older, a little bit more polished in that regard, especially what they were able to do during their time in college, just separates themselves, I think, a little bit from a guy like Jonah, what he's doing right now in the organization. Ton has been awesome. I've been loving Jonah. He hasn't worked out too much yet at the major league level. That doesn't mean that it can't still happen this year, because he is still staying in the rotation as of now, according to Carlos Mendoza, and that is a positive if he does perform. If he doesn't perform, then you say to yourself, why do we just utilize Jonathan after Kodai Senga looked great in his last start in AAA, and we're still going to have Senga go another start in AAA before calling him back up when he is eligible to be called up sooner? Now, I can see why you don't want to rush up Senga. I can also see how the Mets kind of need to go with the best immediate option right now, because they don't really have any other options with only less than 2 weeks left of baseball. So I see both sides of the coin, but what I do know is that if the Mets get anywhere again this year, it'll be headlined by these young pitchers helping pave the way. Whether we like it or not, that is how this has been constructed now after David Stearns sat on his hands in the first half, and as the Mets did not get get nearly enough from the rotation this year because of endless injuries to everybody and their mother. Literally, going back from Minaya to Montas to obviously Senga to Canning to McGill to everybody not named Clay Holmes and David Peterson has dealt with ailment of, significant degree for the most part this season. But thank you again for that donation, Spartan. I appreciate that. But all right, guys, let's get into breaking this one down. McLean threw 92 pitches. Yep, and he was very good. And listen, thing about Nolan, I wasn't overly upset about him not going into the 7th inning because I figured as soon as he got to the 90 pitch mark, that's probably where we were going to be at. Obviously, if the bullpen got like completely rocked, like even worse than what it was the next inning, it would bother me more. However, this was one of those situations where I'm more bothered by Mendy taking really out of the ball game when he just needed one final out more than I am bothered by McLean's day being done on 92 pitches. And going back to Brandon Sproat yesterday, one final thing I will say, and then we'll break down this ball game, everybody. I'll have hand up. I would like to apologize. I went on a big rant yesterday regarding Brandon Sproat because I was under the assumption that he was pulled from the ball game because of a pitch limit that was set pregame before the game even started by Mendy or Stearns. Come to find out that apparently Mendy pulled him from the ball game after 70 pitches because his velocity was dropping. I don't agree with it still because when you actually deep dive the velocity drops, they weren't of significance, I think, to warrant a scare, but they were significant enough for Carlos Mendoza. So say what you will about that decision. I still don't agree with it looking back on it, even with it being a different reasoning than what I initially thought it was out to be, because I didn't get a chance to listen to Mendy's post-game presser until after I finished my post-game show yesterday. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that as we found that out a day later. Do you guys agree or disagree with that decision on Carlos Mendoza? And when I say the velo is dropped, I would say it's only dropped. It was in by a smidge. I think the slowest pitch we saw by Sproat yesterday was just under 94 miles per hour. And I round the pitches usually when I read them off. So around 94, nothing too drastic. Truman says, I'm keeping receipts on all you ding-dongs who gave up on this team. In fairness, I think there are a lot of fans who have a rightful reason to maybe not completely give up on the squad, but to not have confidence in the squad. I think that's a very normal reaction to have when you play below 500 baseball since June 13th. And entering today, the Mets were 18 games below 500 over that stretch. Fourth worst team in baseball. Every fan and their mother has the right to be pissed off with how bad this team has been. Jonah with the 2-dot hollow. Carlos Mendoza was bailed out by the polar bear. He most certainly was today. There is no denying that. And speaking of it, everybody, let's get into this and let's break down how the Mets ultimately won this one by a final score of 5-2. It's a rapid fire because not a lot happened in this ball game. And as we saw in the first inning for Mr. Nolan McLean, he gets some huge strikeouts early. He strikes out Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford back-to-back. Jock Pearson gets on with a walk, but that's all she wrote there for the first. At the bottom of the first, Lindor gets on with a leadoff walk, and then he steals his 30th bag of the year. Lindor is on the cusp of being in that 30-30 territory, as we know. Juan Soto entered 40-30 territory yesterday, which was fantastic to see. Alonso got on with a walk as well after a Soto strikeout, and unfortunately, Nimmo and Vientos got nothing done, so the Mets strayed a pair there with less than two out, in the first. In the second, we see worked around a 2-out single on Alejandro Ozuna as Nolan McLean, which brings us to the bottom of the second inning where the Mets yet again had things cooking initially with runners on base. Let's see. Where do you read the dono twice? Eric, did I read the dono twice without even realizing? Oh, if I did, that's my bad. No worries. It's going to happen sometimes. But in the bottom of the second, everybody, the Mets did probably one of the more frustrating things you would have seen at all today, and that was by stranding bases loaded, because we saw Alvarez get on there with a walk after a Starling Marte one-out single. So there's 2 on, 2 away for Francisco Lindor, who gets on with a walk. And then we see Juan Soto, everybody. Juan Soto, bases loaded. And what do? We see him ground out down to first base. Needed Soto to step up there. That was a brilliant opportunity for Soto to step up. He did not, and because of that reason, the Mets head to the top of the third, still in a 0-0 ball game. Nolan McLean did his thing for another 1-2-3 because, like I said, he's been masterful. He really has been. In the bottom of the third, we saw a 1-2-3 inning by this Mets team offensively, nothing to show. And the fourth, we see a Nolan McLean work around 2 singles, a Jock Peterson single, then a huge double play ball on Adolis Garcia. And then a Rowdy Tellez singles worked around as well on a called strike 3 on Josh Jung and the inning. And that called strike 3 by McLean Or would it be? Would this be painted? Would this be right down the pipe? Well, as we saw by McLean, this called strike 3 would actually be, we would get him big time, and that would be on the sinker. And I will say this, while I love when things go in favor of the New York Mets, I will also call out when I think it's a terrible call by the umpire. And this was a bad call by the umpire. A day removed from seeing horrendous calls against this Mets team and the Rangers yesterday, we saw another bad one today. You could say too close to take, sure, but just take a look at this. McLean gets this strike 3 call. It wasn't a swinging strike 3. It was a called strike 3 on pitch 6. It just completely down below out of the zone. I get it. It's not that far off, but still more than a full ball out of the zone that just comfortably gets called for a strike. I was happy about it in the sense that I benefited the Mets, but in the back of my head, I was saying, I just can't stand officiating at all whatsoever. And I get it. It was still kind of in the outer box, you know, the expanded box, if you will, the expanded zone from the normal strike zone, but still, you guys see what I'm seeing there. So as we continue on, McLean was able to get himself out of that one. As we then head to the bottom of the 4th, the Mets did nothing, 1, 2, 3. And the top of the 5th, we would see Cody Freeman get on with a double, his 4th of the season, after back-to-back strikeouts for McLean on Ozuna and Higashioka. He did a great job there. Then he allows a walk to Josh Smith, setting the stage for Wyatt Langford. Wyatt, who has himself runners at 2nd and 3rd here. Langford, who we know can obviously smoke a baseball, especially with all the injuries that we have seen them endure to guys like Marcus Semien and Corey Seager this year. Wyatt Langford is one of the lone, harder hitter, gap-to-gap guys standing in this line currently for the Rangers with Adolis Garcia, among others. And we saw him get called out on strikes on a top-of-the-zone sweeper that was nastily placed that went in McLean's favor. Huge strikeout there on Nolan, and he was through 5 shutty. And then we see in the bottom of the 5th inning, everybody, Francisco Alvarez leads off the inning that we would see with the double, his 11th of the season there. Love that for Alvy. So even though he took a hit by pitch to the hand yesterday, thankfully that really didn't matter all that much. We would then see everybody, after it would be challenged, it would be upheld. Juan Soto would ground out for the 2nd out of the inning, but Alvarez would come in to score there, and that would be huge. Alvarez, who, yes, went headfirst diving to home, something that we all hate to see. Alvarez, who has a broken pinky finger, as well as a UCL sprain that's requiring surgery this offseason on his right thumb. I don't know why he is at all diving headfirst in any form or fashion right now. I don't know why we're giving the pass to this. Alvarez, and I love him to death, but he was one bad slide away from having his season for certain ended. I just don't know why we need to continue to play with fire the way that I feel like he does every single season. But that would give the Mets the early 1-0 lead that we would see there, everybody. And then after Cole Winn comes in to replace Jacob Latz, the southpaw for the Rangers today, we would see Alonso line out to end the inning. In the 6th, we would see Adolis Garcia get on with a hit by pitch. Rowdy Tellez with a single, but then Josh Shun grounds into a double play to end the inning and end the day here for Nolan McLean. Nolan McLean, everybody, as I mentioned, was nothing short of masterful, dazzling, brilliant. All the fun buzzwords is what Nolan McLean was across a 6-inning span for the New York Mets today. And it is with great honor and privilege that I get to break down what was so good about McLean today with that arsenal, because he had the entire 6-pitch mix cooking today. He had the sinker that he utilized 29% of the time, the sinker between himself and Brandon Sproat. Oh my God, are they looking good. Top it out 97, sitting 95, was right around 2,100 on the RPMs. The sweeper, 26% of the arsenal, topped out 87, sat right around 85, was right around 2,900 on the RPMs. Four-seam fastball, 15% of the arsenal, topped out 97, sat 96, and was right around 2,300 on the RPMs. The cutter, out 12% of the arsenal, topped out 92, sat right around 90, and was right around 2,600 on the RPMs. Changeup, 9% of the arsenal, topped out 90, sat right around 88, was right around 1,500 on the RPMs. We're at average, but it did top out at almost 2,900, believe it or not, for the changeup, which is kind of crazy. It feels like that's wrong, but apparently it's right. The curveball, 9% of the arsenal as well, topped out 81, sat right around 79, and also sat right around 32 to 3,300 on the RPM. So even though he did not throw the curve much, that thing has a lot of nasty spin when it is right. And Mr. Nolan McLean, guys, I gave Brandon Sproat yesterday after going 6 shutty, I gave him an 8 out of 10. So at minimum, I have to go 8 out of 10 for Nolan McLean today, because I think McLean easily could have won 7 innings for this Mets team, but I think I especially gave him an 8 out of 10 yesterday because we saw him dominate in 70 pitches across 6 innings, right? McLean needed 92 today across 6. So Sproat was honestly more impressive, in my opinion, than what we saw Nolan do today. But Nolan was still fantastic. He only walked a pair. And now let's get into the fun stats in regards to Nolan McLean, everybody, because McLean is, again, the first Mets pitcher ever, you hear that, to begin his major league career with 6 consecutive starts of at least 5+ innings of 2-run baseball or less. The ERA is down to 1.19 as we see, and expand more on McLean, that is also the lowest for any starting pitcher that has pitched at least 30 innings this season in regards to his ERA. So if you have at least a 30-inning sample size, Nolan McLean is the best in baseball with that respective ERA. So we love to see that. Eric, boo, 9 out of 10. Now, we can't go 9 out of 10 because McLean could have went 7, 8, 9 innings for all we know. You got to leave wiggle room. If you go 9 out of 10 on a 6-inning grade, you're not going to have a good gap for when things are greater than this. And that's why I hate people when you do food reviews right away and you give somebody a 10 out of 10. I'm like, you schmuck. Now there's no chance that you could grade a higher than this. And I guarantee you're probably going to try something greater than that. That's just my opinion, at least. So, we got a big donation in the chat. Thank you so much, my guy. I really appreciate that. Michael Sayo, who's been a fantastic member here on the platform, donates $50. Thank you so much, my guy. Thank you also, everybody, for helping us get to right around 100 likes in the live show. If you guys could help us get to north of 250 to 300 to all of our live and reoccurring viewers, it'd be greatly appreciated as you guys continue to smash that like and subscribe on your way in here. The Mets win this one in a dramatic walk-off fashion, headlined by the Polar Bear and Pete Alonso. And before we talk about what was so great about Alonso and that home run moment in extra innings, let's first talk about Nolan McLean as we are currently doing. Michael, thank you so much again for that donation. Very generous, very, very kind. Really, really do appreciate it, especially on a big day like today where the Mets stepped up. This comes after my Pittsburgh Steelers did not step up today. Your New York Jets did not step up today. I did not see the Giants score yet. I'm going to check it now. Did they? I don't know if they played their game yet, however. Let's see. Giants, oh my God. I feel for Giants fans. That's a tough one. Russell Wilson had himself an effing day. Wow, my former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, Russell Wilson, looked far better than my other Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, Justin Fields, today. But we saw Russ ball out for the Giants. 450 yards, 30 for 41, and lost in OT to the Cowboys. That's a tough one. I'm sorry to my Giants fans. If you're a fan of the Cowboys, congratulations, but I'm not a Cowboys guy, and I never will be. Jets, Giants, Steelers is my rotation of teams I'm happy with, cool with. Steelers are my team, but I got no ill will with the New York teams. If you're a Ravens fan, I despise you. Nothing personal, but I gotta hate my rivals in the AFC North. That's just how it is. But I was focused, on my football today, and my team was not able to get the job done. Your team may have not been able to get the job done either, but this team, finally, for the first time in over a calendar week, decided to go ahead and get the job done. Finally, W is right, Jose Carlos Garcia Escoto in the chat, 100% my guy. And the bottom of the 6th inning, Brandon Nimmo leads off the inning with a home run. His 23rd of the season for Brandon, everybody. And that at the time gave the Mets a 2-0 lead. Nimmo smacking that home run, getting the RBIs up. Nimmo's now up to 23 home runs, 82 RBIs on the season. As we continue on from here, everybody, we would see in the 7th inning, Brooks Raley comes in, and this is where I have my biggest blunder, my biggest frustration today with Carlos Mendoza. A leadoff single is had with Michael Hellman. Okay. Then it's a Kyle Higashioka flyout. It's a Cody Freeman flyout. So you're saying to yourself, okay, 2 out, 1 on for Brooks Raley. And then Josh Smith, unfortunately, is hit by a pitch, which was really frustrating because that is not how Raley wanted to end the inning, nor end his day. So you had a key opportunity there for Raley. Just need to get the final out. And I get it, Langford has some good numbers against lefties this year. I also know that I don't care. Why? Because Brooks Raley does laps around Reed Garrett as a quality reliever every day of the week, regardless on Raley pitching a day before and Garrett not. Like, there's just so many justified reasons to say, hey, Reed Garrett should never be put in this situation with 2 runners on when he's been dreadful with inherited runners that we've seen in the past. But let's go ahead, let's bring him in today as if he hasn't looked horrendous as of late. And Carlos Mendoza says, great idea, memorabilia. Let's go ahead and do exactly that. So as Reed Garrett comes into the ball game, he promptly walks Wyatt Langford, and then Jock Peterson with his .180 batting average and all this season. I think I'm being generous by saying that. He rips himself a game-tying RBI single. And when that RBI single happened, everybody, I can't emphasize enough how disgusted I again was with Mendoza. Like, I love Mendy. There are a lot of things I like about Mendy. There are a lot of things I have not liked about Mendoza as decision-making this season. And it's unfortunate because it's luck of the draw in regards to, you know, who's going to get the blame after a loss. And a lot of the times it is headlined by the manager because you always look at the head coach essentially to be the demise of the club. You know, what did he do wrong? What string did he not pull, rather? But Mendy, while he does not deserve flack every single time the Mets have their problems, he's not the reason for their countless rotation injuries, nor is he the reason for all the inconsistencies at times with their offense. That goes more on the hitting coaches, cough, Chavez, Barnes, Schmucks, talking to you guys right now. But in all seriousness, today was a day where it just felt like, again, Mendy was 2 steps behind with the decision-making. And even yesterday, too, I know Sproat was supposedly having the velo drop, but why not even consider starting him in the 7th inning? And if you notice a concern, you take him out. Because there really wasn't anything overly noticeable to justify ending his day on 6 innings, 70 pitches. 94 as your velo drop is not something I'm going to be losing sleep over, especially when he wasn't consistently hitting 98, 99 on the gun all day yesterday. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Going back to Brandon Sproat being pulled and the Mets losing yesterday. Scott with a $5 holla. When Mullins gets going, so does the Mets. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Mullins actually got a single for the Mets late in this ball game. He was trying to get something cooking for this team. That is true. Thank you for the donation. That's funny. Jock Pearson with that hit, though, tied the ball game. As we then headed to the bottom of the 7th, where we saw Cedric Mullins strike out, Alvarez with a single, then Lindor with a single, and then another opportunity. The Mets have runners on, less than 2 out, and as a surprise, absolutely nobody today, they did nothing with it. They did absolutely nothing with it. Oh, Kurtz was insane yesterday. I saw his home run against the Reds. Oh, my God. Like, oh, my God. 493 feet. The A's have some of the most ridiculous young homegrown talents. It's insane. Oh, did the A's just get the lead again on the Reds? Shut up. No way they did. Oh, my God. The Reds were winning 3-0 and had bases loaded with 2 out an inning ago. And now the A's rallied all the way back and are up 4-3 in the bottom of the 5th. Let's go. Mr. Kurtz again. What did Kurtz do this time? Did he get a home run again? Because he had a big bomb last night. He's got to be, no, he's been insane. Buddy's batting like around 300 with 1,000 OPS as a rookie. And mind you, he's on like a 30 home run, 80 to 100 RBI pace. He's insane. Two-run homer? Oh, hell yeah. That's, I'm sorry. I'm going to take a look at this real quick, and then we're going to go back to breaking down the Mets game. I just have to mention it quick because they're helping the Mets right now. It was his 32nd homer of the year. Hell yeah. Let's go. Atta boy. He's batting .298 with over 1,000 OPS this season. He's 22. Oh my. I mean, in fairness, he was a first round pick, 4th overall a year ago. So, in fairness, he's actually completely performing to what a top 5 MLB draft pick is supposed to be performing to. I've just been more out of the loop because I do not watch A's baseball often. And the last time I felt like the Mets and the A's played this year, there was more of an emphasis on even like Tyler Soderstrom getting reps at first base. But that has completely changed since then, obviously. Nick has taken over first base, and he's been their guy. Like, wow. Eddie's from Lancaster? Are you kidding me? That's like 40 minutes away from me. That is not far. I didn't even realize he's a PA kid. Oh, I really got to root for him now. Oh, heck yeah. Oh, we love Mr. Kurtz over here. We really do. That's awesome stuff. But okay, let's go back to breaking down this Mets game because that's what you guys came here to talk about. Rightfully so. I just want to talk about that because that went in hand with the Mets today, and hopefully that keeps them in great standing to stay at least one full game up in the wild card. You have family in Mannheim near. Nice, very cool. Can the Mets acquire Nick? No. He's 22. Endless team control. He isn't going anywhere. Mason Miller was traded, but it took like the second best prospect in baseball to happen for context. So you got to realize that. As we continue on, Nolan McLean exits this ball game. Reed Garrett comes in after Brooks Raley has a jam of 2 on. Can't get the job done. Then we see everybody as we head to the bottom of the 7th. The Mets strand a pair. Then we get ourselves to the 8th inning. In the 8th inning, guys, Tyler Rogers has himself a scoreless inning. Rogers getting the job done yet again. Rogers, who should not have been part of what yesterday's situation with Tyler was very frustrating to me. And today, like the fact that he stayed in there and got all 3 outs without a problem. Then we saw in the bottom of the 8th, the Mets offense unfortunately did literally nothing. Then everybody in the 9th inning, we saw Ezekiel Duran get on as the pinch runner for Higashioka, got on with a leadoff single off of Diaz. And then Duran stole his 9th bag of the year, but that didn't matter because we would see a Josh Smith line out to Lindor to get the throw at third for the double play. Huge double play turn, and that set the tone because then we had the bottom of the 9th, the Mets trying to get something going. Mullins is on with a single. Alvarez is called out on strike 3, and he was pissed off about it, rightfully so. And then Lindor grounds out, and which he was robbed by Mr. Duran, who just came in the ball game, and that did it for the normal 9 innings. We get to extras, everybody. In extras, Ryan Stanek comes in, and Stanek's pumping gas. He's looking nasty. He gets the flat on Wyatt Langford. He walks Jock Peterson because I don't know why. Then he gets the big strikeout on Dolis Garcia. And then the pop out on Rowdy Tellez. Ryan Stanek is amped up. He's hyped up, rightfully so. As we get to the bottom of the 10th inning, everybody, they intentionally walk Juan Soto to set the stage for Pete Alonso. And Pete Alonso said, I'm taking that personally. And he did. Alonso gets one. It's high, it's far, and it is gone. Alonso with the walk-off bomb, everybody. He now has the most walk-off home runs in Mets team history with 5, and that was his 34th home run of the season, everybody. And the Mets again go on to win this one by a final score of 5-2. We talked about the Mets pitching. Like I said, Nolan McLean gets a rock-solid grade today of an 8 out of 10. Mets bullpen today, with the exception of Reed Garrett, was nails, did their job. I'm going to give the bullpen today a 6.5 out of 10. Reed Garrett was the only thing that really kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. Goes without saying. On the hitting end, everybody, the Mets didn't have a lot to show in this one. They definitely labored with runners in scoring position. This Mets team that has Juan Soto said himself entering the month. And Dave, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night too, my guy. I appreciate you. Giants are losing 5-1. Music to my ears. Music to my ears. You love to see it. So you're telling me the Mets might be at 1.5 games up. That would be great. That'd be fantastic. And the Mets could be 1.5 games up at least by today's end, if not more. That'd be fantastic. It really would be. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but it would be great. Going back to this, so the offense, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. After Soto said how, they go bananas when they see runners in scoring position. Sadly, that's age like milk since that remark was made. But Pete Alonso was the exception to say, hey, let's go home, everybody, in the best way possible. Lindor with the one-hit day, a 263 average and a 785 OPS. Soto with an RBI today, a 262 average and a 921 OPS. We saw Juan there with the RBI ground out. Alonso with the home run. 3 RBIs, 266 average, 852 OPS. But we know how much Alonso has struggled here in the second half. That's why this was very important. As we continue on, Nimmo, 1 for 4 with the RBI himself, a 261 average, 765 OPS with his 23rd home run of the year. Vientos, 0 for, surprisingly, for Marcus. He's had a big hit what feels like every game. 240 average, 727 OPS. McNeil, 0 for 4. 255 average, 778 OPS, and Marte, 1 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts, 275 average, 762 OPS. Beatty, who came in then for Marte, 0 for 1, 253 average, 743 OPS. Mullins, 1 for 4 with a 9th inning, 1-out single, 219 average, and a 697 OPS. And Alvarez, 2 for 3 with the runs scored, 258 average, 774 OPS, everybody. That is what you got from a Mets offense today. That actually got out hit 8-7 by the Texas Rangers. When we take a look at them on Baseball Savant right here, right now, Who was the more unlucky team today? Well, let's take a gander here, because it was most certainly the Texas Rangers, because they had a 296 expected batting average today, almost 300, while the Mets had a 194. So one hit was the difference in this ball game, in the sense of the Rangers having one more hit than the Mets, but the Mets had a couple more runs than the Rangers, and the Mets also did not look good at all with their offense today, all things considered. So Mets defense bailed them out big time. Nolan McLean was fantastic in more ways than one. I can't get over McLean. I have a feeling, like I've said before, and like I've showed before, and like I will show again, I have a feeling that I'm going to be rocking this Nolan McLean jersey a lot. Not just for every single start that he has moving forward, but just, when you want to, casually hang out, rock out, and rep a jersey, this is going to be that jersey now. For a while, it was my Black Juan Soto jersey, but now this one's going to be steadily in the rotation. I have a great feeling that I'm going to be rocking this puppy plenty, and for a great reason. Speaking of which, that's the reason right there. I mean, man, I get giddy. I'm not going to lie. The Mets have been so bad, so the bar has been low when it comes to excitement. JoJo, thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate that. I was saving this game until I got back to watch it. Your post-game click showed up in my feed. Now I can't be surprised about the walk-off. Thanks for nothing. Chalk, I'm so sorry to hear that, Chalk, but that was your first mistake by not having my notifications off or anything like that. Like, come on. Yeah. What are we doing here? Anyone and everyone that's been a follower here, especially one like you, knows very well that I say exactly what happens in the title of the post-game shows for the most part, because that's what drives the interest, because of the fact that the Mets did that thing. They walked off for the victory. The Dodgers are winning 6-1. Love to see that over the Giants. We're not complaining there at all. Mets still terrible. Where are we talking about, Spartan, in regards to the hits? I'm confused. But Nolan McLean, love him. Can't say enough great things about him. And this Mets pitching staff did what they needed to do in the end. They only gave up 2 runs today, so I really cannot complain much. My large complaint was mainly what Carlos Mendoza's decision-making, and outside that was Mets offense at the end just has been so bad, so unbelievably bad. In case you guys are wondering how bad the Mets offense was heading into this matchup today, let me enlighten you, because over their 8-game losing streak, the Mets were averaging just 2.5 runs per game. They had a run differential entering today's game of -27. They had a team batting average of 211. Runner in scoring position, 11 for 45, and that only got worse today. And now I believe it is 12 for 54, which really is not good. Team ERA, 6.27 entering today's game, and a opponent batting average of just under 300. So, yeah, everything's been bad. Literally everything has been bad about the Mets leading into today's victory. And even with the way that they won the game, my biggest encouragement and the biggest thing that I have to emphasize before we wrap up the live show here for you guys to take away with this is that the Mets' big takeaway today is that Pete Alonso hopefully just jolted life into this Mets team in more ways than one. Because if they cannot take this walk-off victory as a positive, heading into their series against the Padres, which I will say, this is the rare occurrence where I don't know if not a walk-off, I don't know if an off day will benefit this team overly much, because you're going to lose that momentum because you're not going to have a game to go right into tomorrow. So now we have the off day tomorrow. Everyone resets, and we get set for Tuesday's matchup. And Tuesday's matchup, which we will break down in more content tomorrow on the platform, so be on the lookout for it, everybody, is talking more about Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea piggybacking, something that we have been highlighting the Mets to do easily for the past 2 months on the platform. We have been saying this, to either piggyback with one of the kids' starters and a veteran reliever, or a Clay Holmes as a starter or reliever with Sean Manaea. We've literally said verbatim on the platform going over the past month why the Mets should do this. All it took was Sean Manaea costing the Mets in more ways than one, and Clay Holmes not getting the job done yet again to finally click for Carlos Mendoza and David Stearns to say to themselves, oh yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's make that decision. It's better late than never, I suppose, but this is really late. Less than 2 weeks left in the season late. Don't know if I like that at all. What I do like is that it appears that the Mets are finally starting to listen. Now it's just a matter of if they can continue their winning ways, or if this little victory today with Alonso walking off is nothing more than the latest form of fool's gold for us fans throughout the course of the 162. Steve, great member in the chat. Thank you so much for being in here. Heck, great member. Moon Shadow, thank you for the $5 holla. I'm more happy for you, Wardy, because you can't look away, can't change the channel. Oh, this is true. 100%. I appreciate that donation. Thank you. Let's see. Steve says, I try not to come on after long losing streaks because it triggers me, and this is Wardy's job, so he has to push through it somehow. Exactly. It's not fun. So this is definitely an encouraging day for myself than I think more than the average Mets fan. Other than the fact that I know a lot of you guys live and die with this team, so you know exactly what it's like to have them dictate your emotions and everything in between. And yes, Carlos Mendoza literally just reaffirmed, like I said, Tuesday will be piggyback of Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea. So that is what we will see on Tuesday, everybody. Tomorrow, we will have content dropping on the platform. Be on the lookout for it. We are also going to be having some more new things cooking up here on the platform, including our latest Bleacher Report recap video of this 5-2 victory. That'll be dropping the Bleacher Report app either later today, if not tomorrow, that you guys can see yours truly. All you got to do is head over to Bleacher Report and look up Mets, and then you'll come across my thumbnails, because that is me, and you'll see my recap. I work with them, and I've been working with them for almost 2 years now, 1.5 years at least, I think. We're north of 2, actually, for MLB wide coverage as well as Mets coverage now. So every Thursday, you guys can find in Bleacher Report in the MLB section, solely MLB, a hot button topic that I made a quick video out of that they edit well. And every single day up until the Mets season is officially over, I will have that recap video out for you. We also will have more segments upcoming with our friends at the New York Post on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. So make sure to check out that in the coming days, and everything else in between. Just look out for more Mets content here on the platform. Again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. And Steve, yes, your photo was awesome. For those who know, Steve Lawn sent me a photo the other night of him hanging out with a bunch of the Mets alumni before their alumni game the next day. Piazza says Alvarez is a swinger, not a hitter. Alvarez is a swinger, not a hitter, but that's fine. I don't mind Alvarez being a swinger and not a hitter as long as he's swinging for the fences and actually hitting home runs. We don't need Alvarez to be a 280 guy giving us 10 to 15 bombs a year with a 720 OPS. What we prefer to see Alvarez is in more in the 330 to 350, 225 to 250 range on the average with an OPS over 800 from the power. That's what I personally want to see, because that's what the Mets signed up for when they initially signed him as that little kid from Venezuela on that massive signing bonus there for the IFA signing pool. But yes, thank you so much for sending that photo going. Eric Douglas, thank you for being a great member. Thank you so much. Appreciate every single one of you guys hitting that like and subscribe button on your way out. But I'm going to wrap it up now, everybody. Mets win this one by a final score of 5-2, and they hope to continue their winning ways, and it's something there that we will see this Tuesday as they get set for their biggest series yet this season, a team that swept their butt not that long ago, or really kicked their teeth in at least, and the San Diego Padres. Let's see if the Mets can rewrite the script now that they're home this time around. Thank you so much again. Have a great one, everybody. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets. Peace out, folks.